Hello and welcome to the Magic Morning Wood once again with me, Clive Davis, and my regular co-host
Ron. Hi. Hello.
And
Hi, Clive. How's it going?
Good. You?
Good. Yeah.
Excellent. Best bit of the show, as always.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have a guest curator, and because this has a video for a change, or at least the video version, I won't get into why, but if you're listening to this audio-only podcast, you're missing a treat, because you can also take a look at our handsome guest curator. And who are you, sir?
Hello, I'm Mr. Darren Jones.
Hello, Darren Jones. And
Hello.
to make this even more exciting than usual,
It's Mr. Do.
how are you?
Oh, well, I'm all right, actually, thank you.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Great. We get to take the best part of the show and extend it to it.
Might as well
Yeah, I didn't want to
pack up and go home.
By
now.
1/3.
We've peaked.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't want to elaborate on that because I just wanted to keep it curt, and short and sweet like you two do.
Richard.
Well, there's a very special reason you're in a good. We can date the podcast. There's a very special reason you're in a good mood, though, isn't it, Darren?
Is it?
Yeah.
What's that then?
You've forgotten already. You were watching the news.
Oh yes, I was watching the news, and yeah, Mr. Trump has been indicted.
There you
So
are.
he's gonna go and get his fingerprints done and his mugshot done very soon. So, hooray for that!
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, incisive political analysis aside, we are here to talk about some silly films. And so going off the algorithm, so the last film we talked about, which was my choice, was All the Marbles. So both me and Ron are reacting to that film this time.
Right.
My choice we'll get to first, but before we talk about that, we'll explain why Darren is here, because Ron's choice was HUNDRA via
Or as the main character says, HUNDRA.
Yes, via Laurene Landon. And then because I have a bit of history with this film, and it's all Darren's fault, I thought then we better get Darren on. And also, why don't we do the film that was shot back to back with HUNDRA, Yellow Hair and the Fortress of Gold. So that's why Darren is here, because he is a member of the Laurene Landon fan club. In fact, you might be the president, do you?
Well, I'm going to die on this hill twice tonight.
Okay.
Because,
Well, I might join you on the second hill, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Before that,
So,
no, go on if you have something to say.
no, I was going to say, yeah, there's a historic, probably 23-year-old contention.
Yes.
Between Clive and myself.
Yes.
Over HUNDRA.
And it raised its ugly head once more.
It has.
Yeah.
Like a turd coming back up from the flush.
Yes. So before we get
it's a three flush podcast, this.
Before we get to the turd,
we should actually use that as our regular rating system. How many turds did we get?
How many flushes until the turd goes
get
down.
rid of it. And did it leave bits stuck to the bottom of the pan? Speaking of which, I was quite proud of myself the other day. I took a shit and it was in a perfect S shape.
Ooh.
I hadn't done that before.
Actually, yeah, I recently did the letter J. So hey.
There we go. Yeah.
So
Darren, any alphabetical tales of defecation?
No. Although I did have too much to drink the other night and some spicy food, and it did look like I shat the whole alphabet. Because it was all over the sides of the pan.
Right.
Not the top of the pan. The inside.
Great. So now we've officially lost every single viewer who might have actually come. So now we can just talk about anything else.
Alphabetti spaghetti.
That's it.
Yeah, so my choice though, and this was via the link of just more wrestling. I can't get enough. Even though I'm not a wrestling fan, I don't watch wrestling. I do like wrestling in films, and specifically, I do like Mexican masked wrestlers. So I chose Las Momias de Guanajuato, or the Mummies of Guanajuato, 1971 Mexican, bit of a masked wrestlers assemble, right? So we have our two leads, Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras, but of course the Godfather, the saint himself, El Santo, even turns up at the end of the film. So you have three mighty men.
And these were real Mexican wrestlers at the time, right? There's sort of like a a vehicle for these wrestlers to get like a proper film, right?
Yes. So just to put it into a bit of context, so obviously El Santo had his own long-running series for many years, and I don't know if this counts as a proper. I don't know if this counts as in the El Santo series because it's more of a guest starring role, and Blue Demon had been in his own series of films, and Mil Mascaras had been in his own series of films. But oddly enough, you could say that this is actually the beginning of another series because there's, I think, at least another 2 Mummies of Guanajuato films. So I think this is the first of the Mummies of Guanajuato versus Masked Wrestlers series. So it leads off in a lot of different directions. I had never actually seen this before. Either of you gents seen this one?
Nope.
So yes, so we start off in Guanajuato, which is of course a very famous for its mummies, right? Something to do with the soil there. When people are buried, they end up kind of mummified, right? They don't disintegrate and rot properly. So at some point they decided to start putting their dead on display, and you can go, as far as I know, to this very day, you can go and visit the Mummies of Guanajuato, which I've always really wanted to do as well. I think it would be a cool place to.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah,
and I think there were real mummies in that museum. I think they filmed it.
Apart from the wrestling ones.
No, that was real. Satan lives.
Yeah, the ones
Satan is real.
The ones behind the glass cases are, and I've seen them in other films as well. Like they pop up in other various Mondo documentaries and stuff. And I don't remember them as being behind glass case. I thought they were like a more open. You could just walk among them, and so there might be several different sections of the tour. I don't know, but yeah.
And this is because they ran out of room to bury them?
No. It's because they don't, for whatever reason. It's got something to do with the composition of the soil. Apparently, they were burying people, and then for whatever reason they had to dig them up or something, and they were discovering, this mummy's mummified. This body's mummified. It hasn't rotted.
So the soil was naturally mummifying them.
Apparently so. That's the way I understand it.
And so then they just put it on display instead of
Yeah, obviously someone had the idea because it's quite an interesting thing, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think every person who gets buried in the Guanajuato area is there put on display, or
So I mean, is there any? And you said there's a documentary. Was there anything about like why that? Oh, I thought you said you.
No, you're quite sorry. I did say there was no. What I said is they turn up in like I think Death, the Ultimate Mystery, and I think maybe in Faces of Death as well, there's like a brief segment where they just show, like, and here the mummies of Guanajuato, and they talk about a little bit about them, and then. But I don't.
I'm just curious.
I don't know of any full-length documentary just about the mummies of Guanajuato, which, if you think about it, is actually quite odd. So there might actually be one. There probably at least must have been one or two, like on Mexican television. You know, if you
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, if you searched YouTube and you could understand Spanish, you could probably find something, I would have thought.
Yeah, because I'm curious how they would find who was the first person to find that, and under what circumstances did they just happen to be digging up this grave and, hey, what do you know? Look, this is mummified. Hey, let's put it in a building so people can look at it. All right, so
someone with a high voice who discovered this body.
But of course, it was high, but just translated into Spanish, and that's exactly what they said.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
You sounded just like Blue Demon then.
Actually, I think this is the time to reveal that under that mask, it is in fact Ron, is Blue Demon. So, yeah, no, this is all stuff I've learned piecemeal over the years, and unfortunately, I mean, I could be talking utter bullshit, but that's the way I understand it. To be fair, I didn't have time to sit down and research the mummies in great detail, but I probably should have. Anyway, they're there, and some tourists roll up, and the penguin.
The little man.
Jorge Pinguino is apparently his real, well, his name in the credits anyway. The penguin is, yeah, he's a little man guide to the mummies of Guanajuato. And while they're down there, it's, yeah, you got the real mummies, and then in a separate section there's like some special mummies, right? Including a huge, he's like 7 foot tall, Satan, as played by another real wrestler, Tinieblas, who I think later on teamed up with Blue Demon or Mil Mascaras. He got to go over to the hero side. I think he's in, what's he in? He's in The Mummies of San Angel, which I think is like a Guanajuato ripoff, I'm guessing. And then something else called Macabre Legends of Colonialism, or something like that it's called. But anyway, he's in like the group of, so you got Mil Mascaras, Blue Demon, El Santo here, and then there were a whole bunch of other, you had the Champions of Justice series, which had a rotating 3 or 4 masked wrestlers, and there was a whole bunch of other one-offs and stuff as well. So yeah, anyway, Tinieblas got to be a good guy later on, but for now he is Satan, the big fuck-off mummy, with quite good makeup, except it doesn't go beyond his neck. It only just goes down to there.
And he's got lycra from the 1800s.
Yes, that's right. Genuine
1800s lycra.
Yes, and it turns out that he fought El Santo's ancestor back in the day, right? 100 years previous. Anyway, they come back to life. And yes, and also not only do they come back to life and attack locals, they also try and frame Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras by, so Satan comes to life first, and then he wakes up the other mummies, and does he at some point he manages to break into Blue Demon's house and steal some of his outfits?
Well, yeah, but more than that, he strips him.
Yes, he does.
So Satan breaks into Blue Demon's house, takes his mask off, and then strips him naked for his clothes.
Right.
You don't see that, but that's the implication.
These are mummies with really high order thinking.
Yeah. So then, and then they put on the Blue Demon outfit and do horrible things. So then that leads the police, led by Inspector Juan, to think that, yeah, the masked wrestlers are up to no good. I mean, it's a bonkers fucking story.
Yeah.
Really. Or an excuse for a story. And then, yeah, you've also got, so, Mil Mascaras, who's the man of 1,000 masks, right? So he turns up. It's a bit confusing because Blue Demon is Blue Demon, El Santo is always El Santo. But Mil Mascaras always has a different color mask, doesn't he?
But he's got very flamboyant everything else, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Everything else he's wearing is like he's like, you know, he's like a billowing gold cape, like, you know, gold lame leggings.
Yeah.
You know, I like him.
He's a cool cat.
Yeah.
And he's dating Elsa Cardenas, who works in this club. So there's a bit of time wasting club scenes and stuff like that. And of course, there's the usual time wasting wrestling scenes. In a ring sponsored by Pepsi, I noticed. Yes, and there's some dudes dressed in capes with mandolins. That's another time wasting musical segment, isn't it? Right, and well, I mean, that's kind of it, isn't it? Plot wise, looking back on it, it's fairly threadbare. The mummies just have to be defeated, and eventually El Santo turns up to help, and he happens to have some flamethrower guns.
Oh, they were fucking cool.
They were cool.
I like them.
I like the scene before that. The cops are like trying to gun down, and it's quite violent, trying to gun down these mummies, and they're like shooting them to bits, but they won't like fall down, right? I was quite surprised how violent that was, considering these films did play primarily to children, right? What am I missing? Oh yes, I did quite like, at one point Mil Mascaras has a great line when the inspector is, you know, the prime suspects or the wrestlers or whatever. Mil Mascaras says, "Sportsmen don't commit crimes." Like,
I wrote exactly the same line down. Well, there's some business with Blue Demon's kid as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's a fucking adopted kid, right? Yeah, in peril. But anyway, so what did we make of Las Mummies de Guanajuato?
Well, I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. And I haven't seen one of these for years and years and years and years and years, and it's one of the better ones I've seen.
Right.
Just simply because it's just pure entertainment, and there's not 10 minutes where there's not someone in a mask doing something to someone else. And even like the exposition scenes, so even like the conversation scenes in one of these, especially in colour, because most of the ones I've seen are the El Santo ones in black and white. Just watching these in colour, just watching a man in a really nice tailored suit with the mask on,
yes.
Just having exposition is just a joy to watch for me.
There is something weirdly mesmerizing about men in masks, big men in masks, and so, like I agree. Like there's something joyous about seeing them do things. Like it's really silly, but like for instance, there's a scene in this where Bill Mascaras is like, driving his little car or something, and you're like, oh look, he's driving. Oh, even something as simple as like, hello, someone and a phone. Oh, I like it when you see them like at home, like reading the paper or something.
In their mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just something
like
infinitely entertaining about that, I think. But that's just these films in general, right? How about you, Ron? How did you get on with the Mummies of Guanajuato?
Yeah, I mean, I got the joke, and so it was. I agree. Like it was a bit. There's a lot of filler in there, considering. Yeah, it was like even though it was not that long of a movie, even then they still needed to fill it with like 20 minutes of music and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure if that was like a staple of the genre. I don't know. Did they tend to
It
do
is,
they
yeah.
tend to make them those types of things?
Yeah.
So I don't think I've seen a lot of these types of movies. So
In fact, I mean, compared to some of them, there isn't that much wrestling. I mean, there's a wrestling scene in it which goes on a little bit, but fucking hell, some of the ones I've seen, those wrestling scenes, they'll have 2 or 3 per film, you know, and they'll go on for like 10 minutes a piece. So this isn't too. You're right. It is filler-tastic, but compared to some other ones,
wasn't too bad. Yeah, I mean, I thought I like the. It made me kind of pontificate about the difference between a mummy and a zombie. Yeah, like what exactly? I mean, at least in Western culture, mummies tend to be specifically Egyptian with the wrappings and stuff like that. But these didn't have that, so I was wondering if it was a translation thing or if they had something to do with. Is there a difference in Mexico between a mummy and a zombie, or are they the same thing?
Yeah, no, I suspect a zombie would be like a proper. I mean, well, that's the thing with zombies, right? I suppose if a zombie, I often wonder about this, like if a zombie epidemic was to hit along the lines of like, let's take Night of the Living Dead as like for whatever reason, corpses start. The thing is, the corpses that are still kind of somewhat hanging together, somewhat fresh. I'm assuming that's what we're seeing wandering about the countryside in Night of the Living Dead. And I'm wondering how many other like semi-desiccated bones and things are just like can't get it together to even get out the grave, right? They're just wobbling about in their coffin, or you know.
Just a nerdy point.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking specifically Night of the Living Dead zombies,
yeah,
then it's like a virus that's transmitted by other zombies, isn't it? So if you're already dead by the time of if you were dead before the outbreak, you wouldn't get out of your grave.
Well, I don't know about that because from the beginning, I don't think it's ever really clearly. Isn't
it meant to be like an alien, like a fog that they
satellite or something, isn't it? That's
some sort of like a radiation that they bring.
But I don't think that's ever like definitely. It's kind of like the beginning of Dawn of the Dead, where the people in the television studio shouting. It's all speculation. I don't think anyone knows why that. No, you're quite right, Darren. That's how.
But you get bitten by a zombie, and then you die. You definitely die, and then you're somehow infected.
I'm assuming at some point, a zombie must have come out of its grave, though. But then again, you don't actually see that in Night of the Living Dead, right? That's more of that's something you see in Plague of the Zombies or Zombie Flesh Eaters. I can't remember. Night of the Living Dead doesn't actually have any rising from the grave scenes.
No, that's more kind of well, like you say, the Zombie Flesh Eaters, or actually, Return of the Living Dead is a good one, isn't it?
Right, yeah. Anyway,
but then again, if you're saying about the bones wiggling in the grave, I guess, but you have to destroy the brain, so bones wouldn't actually have a brain, so they would have already been destroyed.
Yeah, but wouldn't the brain liquefy pretty quick as well in a body? I mean, that would be.
Well, that's what I mean. We're going down a totally different tangent.
That's all right.
Here, but but yeah, technically, I mean, most of these bodies would not have a brain anymore. So the killing the brain seems actually sort of like counterintuitive.
I agree with you.
So
it does seem a bit strange.
Fucking zombies are too unrealistic, man. Anyway,
never happened.
Mummies are real.
Mummies are real, though.
Yeah.
Mummies with wrestling masks are real.
Unlike the 19th century.
But anyway, watching this movie just made me wonder, but like, wait, what is the difference between a mummy and a zombie? And I was trying to think, like, because it seems like these are basically wrestling zombies, but I was just wondering what the.
Mummies usually think, though, don't they? So mummies have got intelligence.
In
all of the mummy films, the mummy's got to like retrieve the amulet from the grave, or that's been stolen from his grave, or he's looking for his lost love. Yes, yeah.
I've never been. I've never been to. The only mummy I've ever seen was in. Where did I see a mummy? I saw a mummy in. I think
When you were a kid in your house, you saw your mummy.
Comedy Gold. Myanmar, I think I saw a mummy. I think it was in Myanmar. I saw a mummy. We went to see a village mummy, and they brought out this little, well, a little mummy, but it wasn't standing up. It was like in a crouching position. It looked like one of those ones, like the Japanese mummies. You know, those monks who used to like mummify themselves by slowly starving themselves and throwing up and starving themselves, and they rang a bell in a tomb. And then when you didn't hear the bell anymore, it means they were dead, and they kind of slowly self-mummified, which always strikes me as like a pretty incredible way to kill yourself. Like, you'd have to have enormous self-discipline to follow through, right? Anyway, have either of you seen a mummy? Have you been to Egypt, or have you been to Egypt?
Yeah, I've been to Egypt, yeah.
You saw a mummy there, I'm
I've
assuming.
seen mummies, yeah, and
Right.
there's mummies in the British Museum as well.
Right.
So actually, funny enough, I was in the British Museum about 3 weeks ago, and I saw a mummy then. So
Was it a
very recent.
Was it a wrestling mummy?
No, it was an Egyptian mummy. It was inferior to a wrestling mummy.
But then that brings up a good question. What kind of wrestling did they do in ancient Egypt?
Well, Egyptian wrestling, obviously.
Egyptian wrestling, right?
Yeah. It's like, all that sort of business.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
two-dimensional.
That's it.
Wrestle like in Egyptian.
Side on. Yeah. Side profile.
Anyway, so yeah, anyway, to bring it back to the actual movie we're talking about.
Not horizontal wrestling, that's something different.
Right.
What's that? What was that, Darren?
I said not horizontal wrestling, that's something different.
Darren's
right,
going to
yeah.
take this to the gutter, but we're not going to let it. Not yet, anyway.
Why else did you invite me?
Pyramidal wrestling. Yeah, so I thought it was pretty fun for what it was. I mean the story was kind of non-existent, and
pretty much.
the explanation as to why the mummy's raised in the first place was sort of seemed an afterthought. I didn't really get but I mean, it was wrestling mummies, so yeah, and they wrestled and had some music, and so I mean, as far as that was concerned, it was good fun. It was. So how about you, Clive? What'd you think?
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, the thing is, this came along at just the right moment for me as well, because I've slowly been going through the entire El Santo series, and just as coincidence, this was the next one I was going to watch when this came up, so it was perfect. I didn't have to go. So I'm kind of immersed in the world of Mexican wrestlers at the moment, and this is it's not one of the. It's certainly not one of the worst ones. Some of them are quite boring. It's not one of the better ones, but because it's got the mummies in it, I think that's the key, isn't it? It's got the iconography, and so I can see why it led to sequels and sparked the imagination. And I, from what I understand, was a little bit of a minor hit as well.
Oh, there were sequels to this?
Yes, there was. I can't remember what they called it, but there's at least another 2, I think, in this series, and then it's either Blue Demon or Mil Mascaras with other wrestlers. There's there's like 4 or 5 different wrestlers that turn up in rotation. I don't think El Santo turns up in any, but I might be wrong about that. Actually, he might turn up again, because he saves the day. I was actually reading a bit of trivia. Apparently, Blue Demon was quite resentful that El Santo kind of turned up at the end, and because they do make a big deal of it as well, don't they? They say, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, thank God, El Santo came to save our bacon," and
Yeah.
you can
I thought
imagine-
Blue Demon was doing all right, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so.
He didn't have a flamethrower, but he'd have worked it out in the end.
Yeah. I have to admit, Blue. So I'm going through all the El Santo films, and at a certain point, he starts teaming up with Blue Demon. There's quite a few Santo and Blue Demon ones. But I'm going to have to go back at some point and watch the Blue Demon series as well, because in his own right, he has his own series of adventures. I've only seen a couple of them before, and Mil Mascaras as well, of course. Darren, oddly enough, I was talking about Mil Mascaras to my wife, and she was talking about the Mil Mascaras theme, Sky High, which is also the theme to one of your favorite films of all time, The Man from Hong Kong.
Yes.
And you will be pleased to hear, I didn't know this, the very first record that Noriko ever bought was Sky.
Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
there
Simply
you go.
because it was, it was, I don't know if it was anywhere else, it was around, but whenever Mil Mascaras came to Japan, that was his ring theme when he got in the ring. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I would say as well on the wrestling segment, there's one wrestling in the ring segment, isn't there?
Yeah.
Actually, quite well done.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought in terms of acrobatics, choreography, it certainly wasn't, WWE or whatever the fuck it's called these days.
Right.
It was quite, I was quite wrapped with attention in that segment.
Darren's got confused in his old age, and he thinks it's an episode of Who's because they're talking about choreography.
I kind of reeled it in a bit. Yeah. I'm just wired that way.
Yeah. Anyway,
also nice organ music, I thought, in nice little organ theme in this one.
I think because the mummies are real and the locations are on location, and because men in masks, wrestlers in masks is automatically compelling. It's like a film that's fun by accident or something, right? Like in spite of itself. Like
yeah, but also I think it's probably, well, you know better than either of us will, I'm sure, especially as you're going through them all at the moment. But I would have said that this is quite a good example of the genre. If you wanted to get someone into Mexican wrestling movies.
Any of these masked wrestler films that involve monsters, because they don't always involve monsters.
No.
Sometimes El Santo's fighting the mafia or smugglers, and some of those films can be quite good as well. And there's one Operation 67, which is like a spy film where there's like women in bikinis who explode, like Dr. Goldfoot and the girl bombs. And so it's whatever. Santo's done everything, right? Like sometimes he's a wrestler, sometimes he's an Interpol agent. He's got
deep cover.
Yeah, in a mask. That's yeah. There's a lot of strings to his bow, but no, you're quite right. It's usually exposure to one of the monster films that gets people sucked in to the world of lucha libre, right? Right, so there we go. The mummies of Guanajuato can be put safely back until next they emerge in another, 50 years now, maybe, if it's 100 years since Satan will return.
Well, you've got to wait for one of us to die, naturally mummify, and then return from the grave for vengeance until you do another.
Yeah, and then Ron will don his blue demon mask and take us down. Right.
With my resentment.
That's me. That's my choice out the way. So, Ron, what did you choose then? You fool!
Whoa, you've already given it away. I chose the 1984 HUNDRA. Or, as you say, HUNDRA.
HUNDRA. 1983.
Okay. Anyway, not to go down that road again.
Oh, I like it when you do that.
Yes, starring Laurene Landon, which was my connective tissue. The blonde girl, the blonde one from All the Marbles. So why don't you tell the story about the backstory of HUNDRA so you can explain why I chose it, or not why I chose it, but why you brought it up in the first place.
Well, I just a throwaway comment, and you latched on. I was wondering, was that because you fancied Laurene Landon in All the Marbles?
I wouldn't say a fancy. No, it was just sort of like I like fantasy and sort of like, you know, I'm a fan of like the Conan genre and you know, Red Sonja and those types of movies, and Willow and all those types of like sword and sorcery kind of things. And so I when as soon as you mentioned she was in that kind of movie, I was like, oh, that sounds like something I'd enjoy.
Okay.
That was silly of me. But
yes, it was.
but anyway, but then you had a story about it, which something to do with you had a fight over how boring it was or something.
Well, I mean, I don't know who wants to tell. I can tell the story from how I remember it, or Darren, do you want to go ahead? And...
No, you go. You go.
Okay, all right. So the way I remember it is back in the day, me and Darren would go to, we've mentioned this before, but we would go to a video shop local to Darren's, and we would rent 7 films for £3 or something like that. And then we would go back, we would retire to Darren's house, and we would, well, our plan was to watch 7 films. We ended up only watching about 2 or 3 maybe to push it, because we took an inordinate amount of time and had great fun, actually, weird enough, because we're both, you know, mentally deficient, choosing the running order. That's what we would pour literally hours over. We would line up the videos, and we were like as if we were plotting like a film festival, almost even more like a mixtape, like which would go best after the next one. And then we'd take a break and go and eat some tomato sandwiches, and it would take us fucking ages to do this. So it would be about midnight or something by the time we actually started to watch the films. Anyway, this was a ritual, and back in the day, when HUNDRA was in our, I had no idea what else we watched that night, to be honest with you. I don't know if Darren does.
No, not a clue.
HUNDRA was in our, and this was when Darren started dating the woman who is now his good lady wife. And yeah, you're quite lucky, really. She stuck with you, considering that.
Despite
yes,
the HUNDRA evening, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or even just from the beginning, she must have been thinking inwardly, fucking hell, when are these guys going to actually put the video on? We've been talking about putting one on and eating tomato fucking sandwiches. But eventually, at some point, me, Darren, and Mrs. Darren, I don't know if I'm allowed to say your name on here. So,
well, I've accidentally left it on the screen. So.
Oh, there we go. So, yes. So, me, Darren, and Geraldine ended up watching HUNDRA, and very quickly, me and Geraldine had enough of this film. Like, we really took against it. We were like, shall we just shut this crap off and move on to the next film? But Darren was stubborn. No, we're watching. We're going to keep. It'll get good now. It'll get good. Give it another 5 minutes. And this kept. Me and Jeremy were getting quite impatient. And I eventually, at some point, after I don't know, 40 minutes or something, Darren agreed to turn it off. And we never did see the end of the film back in the day. But he was adamant that it was nowhere near as bad as we were saying it was. And yeah, so
and now I'm vindicated.
Well, I was curious because I actually had gone back to watch it again at some point to write about it. Had you actually watched this since that night in its entirety before? No.
Okay. Never saw the end of HUNDRA.
And this is the first watch for you as well, Ron?
Yeah. As I said, when you mentioned it, I'd never heard of it. So while you were droning on about something, I was looking it up and not paying attention to you as usual. Yes. And I was like, hey, that sounds like something I might want to watch, and that's why I chose it. So
right. That's the thing as well, is the reviews for HUNDRA on IMDb are good.
Are they?
And it's
generally, yeah.
Well, yeah. They're more good than bad.
Yeah.
You know, none of them are saying avoid this film. You know, you'll switch it off halfway through.
Right.
Generally
By
speaking.
user Geraldine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, you know,
it does have
this
a-
Clive.
If your boyfriend
It does have a 4.6
watches this
though.
film, dump his ass.
Yeah, I mean, like the very first review is a 10, but then the next one is a 3. So it's
Okay.
and the overall score is a 4.6. So.
I
Okay.
suspect all the 10s are, all the usernames are anagrams of Darren Jones.
Or Laurene Landon.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it that much, but I'm maintained my position.
So what is HUNDRA all
Anyway.
about, Ron?
HUNDRA. Okay, so it's written and directed by Matt Cimber. Or actually, no, sorry. Written by Matt Cimber and John F. Goff and Jose Trucado, I guess, and directed by Matt Cimber. And
Matt Cimber we've spoken about before, Ron. Real name Matteo Ottaviano, and he's the guy who made the Candy Tangerine Man.
Right.
Which is one of his better films. That and another one of Darren's favourites, The Witch Who Came from the Sea.
Mm. Well, I haven't seen it for a long time, but I remember liking it.
Yeah, Witch Who Came from the Sea is, I think, a legit, proper, strange cult film. Probably his best. Anyway, carry on there, Ron.
Anyway, so starring, as we said, Laurene Landon, and I mean, to be honest, I'm not that familiar with Laurene Landon before any of these movies. So before like all the Marvels, did she become kind of like a cult star, or was this sort of like she had a couple of movies in the early '80s and then faded away? What?
Yeah, I don't really know that much about her either. I mean, she's like just one of those figures who, well, she's in these 2 films, and I think she's in some of the 80s kind
She's
of.
a Maniac Cop.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know who she is, obviously, but yeah, I don't have a strong. I mean, I'm assuming she must have some proper acrobatic background, right? Because she's in the Marbles and this, and she does like most of her own stunts and stuff. She's clearly in good shape, and she can do things, right? Like she's quite impressive in that. Like she's more impressive like than some other, like I'm thinking of someone like Sybil Danning from Howling from this era, who, like, you know, they took their tops off and they looked kind of sexy and stuff, but I don't know if they could actually do action stuff undoubled. But Laurene Landon seems to be
she's doing all the stuff. She's swinging around on ropes. She's riding horses. She's doing all the stuff, isn't she?
Yeah, and you know, she's not the worst actress in the world either. I mean, you know, she's not great, but she works in these 2 roles. I think, like she's she's what she's supposed to be, right? She's a bit.
Yeah, I was wondering, because since these 2 were back to back, I'm wondering if she was sort of like trying to be hyped as like the next, you know, kind of big thing, whatever, and then it just kind of crashed and burned or something. But
well, she's clearly preempting Lucy Lawless's Xena, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. But I don't know.
Is this after Red Sonja or before Red Sonja?
Just before, I think. Red Sonja's 84, isn't it?
But there you go.
Probably in production around the same. I'm wondering even if it might have sneaked into production, like, because Red Sonja would have been a big studio picture, right? And coming after the Conan films, it was probably in the trade papers and stuff. So I'm wondering if even Matt Cimber thought, oh, fuck, we can beat that to market. And it might be, even though it came out first, it might actually be a reaction to Red Sonja.
Right.
I think it's more a reaction to Conan the Barbarian.
Conan as well.
I think that's where this is, you know, the meat and gravy of this is coming from.
Yeah. You can tell that Matt Cimber had seen Conan and saw, hey, I got this hot chick, let's throw her into a loincloth and do the same kind of thing and capitalize on that popularity, right? So,
well, he even mentions so there's a commentary track as well, and if either of you got to hear it, Matt Cimber and Laurene Landon, which is quite amusing because they bicker which I always like a bickering commentary. You can tell they quite like each other, you know. But yeah, I think he mentioned something along the lines of when he started filming it as a Conan ripoff, and then scrapped what they were doing and kind of started to do it in a slightly different way, is from what I understand. Yeah, definitely Conan is the commercial imperative here.
Right. Yeah, so anyway, so she's from a sort of tribe of warrior women where there are no men. They have no men among them, and they go amongst men, as we find out through this very grating voiceover,
Right.
where that they only go amongst men when they decide that they need to have a baby. So then they go and they use the men for their
When
to
they
get
need
their seed,
right? Yeah.
their seed. Yeah, they get their seed, and then they come back. And then if they give birth to a male child, it's immediately killed or put out or whatever. So, so they're very strict about the no dicks policy.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
As am I. As am I.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so then for absolutely no reason whatsoever, some people come along and kill them all, and leaving HUNDRA alone as the sole survivor, and except for one other woman who's like their wise woman who lives somewhere else completely different in a cave, who apparently is part of their tribe but doesn't live with them and lives really, really far away by herself. So, and so she goes to see her, and and this wise woman tells her, "You have to find a guy and have a baby and start the village again." And she's like, "No, I won't. I don't like men." And no men will get a piece of this. And she says, "Well, you have to." And then she says, "Okay." And then that's the rest of the movie is HUNDRA DTF.
I'm going to quote HUNDRA. She says, "No man will ever penetrate my body with sword or with himself."
Yes, great, yeah, great line. And yes, and so then so the rest of the movie is just her looking to get down. She's DTF, right? So she's
right.
And I kept asking myself over and over and over in this movie, how is this not a porno? Like it's literally the like the storyline from a porno.
There's like a Flesh Gordon kind of vibe going on, isn't
there?
Yeah, like
at any minute, sure there is a yeah.
There might be a parody called like HUNDRA or something.
HUNDRA, yeah. So so I mean that's literally the rest of the movie is just her trying to find a suitable candidate to give her his seed, and she comes across a bunch of really terrible candidates, like this real drunk guy who just goes, he's like basically is going the connective tissue is that he's like a zombie or a mummy, and she kicks him to the curb and then finds some like really like rich asshole, and then that doesn't work out, and so finally she finds sort of the hot priest.
Yeah,
the hot priest, and then but he's married, or was he married, or
I don't think he was married, but he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think he was attached. I think no.
Yeah. So, but he's a priest and maybe not supposed to have relations, but then anyway, they do it, and she has to join this temple and put on makeup and nice dresses, and and she also has a fight with a dwarf, and all sorts of episodic hijinks which are occasionally supposed to be funny as well, I think. Where she's being trained to have manners, where like eat with utensils and stuff, and she can't figure out how to eat with a spoon or something like that, right? Like,
there's this there's this other character, isn't there? So there's the girl who works in the temple,
right?
Who exchanges like etiquette knowledge for warrior knowledge. And that's the exchange, isn't it?
I get the sense they didn't quite know what the tone they were going for was. So, and it's 109 fucking minutes long as well. which I think even super fan Darren will agree is
A bit long.
too long. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I guess the one last element is, of course, is she's also wants to get revenge on the people who killed her village, and so I guess she finds out that the people in the temple were the people that killed her. I don't know. That was not really that clear. She figured out that one guy was one of the guys somehow. I didn't really get it. And then she has a very long, drawn out fight which lots and lots and lots of slow motion, and gets her revenge at the end.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
And also worth mentioning, this whole thing has a score by Ennio Morricone as well, which was something that I didn't expect. I hadn't remembered that from.
Yeah, it's not his best work.
No,
it's
no,
like
no,
it's like on the back of a cigarette packet, and
Yeah.
Morricone, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like,
It's like Ennio, have you got a Tuesday afternoon free kind of, because when you're working at that level, you can churn stuff like this. It's not memorable. It's not like one of the great Morricone scores, right? But
no.
but it's Morricone nonetheless.
Mm.
Yeah. So right. So I'll just get my opinion out of the way. So I haven't really changed my opinion. I mean, the pluses of it, I will say that it's a shame in a way that, like, it's not fantastic action or anything, but it's worth pointing out that Laurene Landon doing her sword fights and stunts and stuff and everything, she's really good at it. But it's but I don't think Matsimba is really an action director, right? So there's a few set pieces which are kind of objectively impressive, but they have the editing behind them isn't dynamic enough. It just doesn't. It's very languid, right? Which you don't really want for an action film.
The pacing is
man.
awful.
Yeah.
So terrible. I just kept. Yeah, I mean, I don't take notes, but like the whole time I was just saying to myself, pacing. Come on, people, pacing. Pick it up. Let's go.
Well,
this is an action. It's supposed to be like an exciting action movie, but it's just like these long, really like poorly edited, like just like sequences of just doing nothing. And I was like, come on, let's get to the action.
But
right?
even
like,
the action sequences are too long.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, that too. Yeah.
There's some good like horseback fighting and stunts.
Yeah.
And she's swinging on this like gibbet rope thing towards the end, trying to save the baby or something. And even that goes on too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree there. Like you said, she looks good doing it, and she's, she obviously knows some, acrobatics, and she's, she looks good
right
while she's fighting. But it's like the film's like a bit of a monotone, isn't it? So it's like, in at least in Conan the Barbarian or Red Sonja or Sword and the Sorcerer or any one of these other films that it's contemporary with.
Yeah.
You've got some sort of spice to liven things up. Either lots of sex or, they'll throw a monster in there.
Yeah, this could have done with a monster, couldn't it? This could have
Or I was well expecting like at least some magic, like a sorcerer or something, or even there's like some kind of a monster of the week kind of thing. But it was just her trying to get fucked. That was it. That was the whole...
well, there is the bull. There's a bull for no good fucking reason, because they all worship a bull, don't they? That's the priesthood, isn't it?
And I don't think a bull counts as a monster.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And they're trying hard to make that bull a monster as well.
Right.
She doesn't even fight it at the end, really.
Yeah.
No.
It's just like there.
They could have made it a minotaur or something, would have made it a bit more interesting.
Yeah. The closest you get to a monster in this is the inexplicable little man in like red and green makeup, who's never explained. He just turns up, she has a fight with him, and then she goes on her way.
I do apologise to little people everywhere by being called a monstrous by Darren.
We do not subscribe to the.
I said
the views of our guest.
You did. I said they tried to make him a monster.
I said the closest thing you get to a monster, i.e., fantastic creature, because you know I don't because
Apologies for being
Fantastic.
called a fantastic creature. Keep
Yeah,
digging that hole, Darren.
I am digging a hole there, aren't I? I will shut the fuck up now.
But yeah, I do think that this movie is just entirely wasted potential. So I think they have like a very attractive, and she's quite pretty, I guess, right? And she's got some skills, and especially action skills that she probably could have been someone quite big if she'd been given the right vehicle, And I think that maybe the next movie we're going to talk about, the yellow hair, it was more on the right track for her, but I think it was probably just not. I think it's too bad. I think she probably could have done more with her. That's why I was wondering if she became sort of a cult, kind of goddess or something like that. Because I think she's decent, but it's just
she does have somewhat of a cult following.
Yeah, Does she? But I think that the project was just not right. I mean, it was very slapshod and kind of
well, and that's
quickly.
That's the thing as well. It's like one of my notes I made was like, is this what men making films in the 80s thought feminism was as well? Because there's this like through line, isn't there? There's like this like through line of HUNDRA is this strong independent woman, and yet quite easy to seduce, and secretly wants to wear a bit of makeup and enjoys it, and it's like it's kind of it's not quite. It's not,
Well, as I said, I mean, it's literally the storyline of a porno, right? So I mean, that's the feminism take from this, from Matt Zimmer, right? So,
which is a shame, because the opening sequence actually I think is quite well made. So because there's this whole sort of extended scene and there's a lot of slow-mo and stuff, and it's obviously lifted directly from the opening sequence of Conan the Barbarian. But there's this kind of it's kind of pushing it a little bit, because she's got this like teenage sister who is like who just gets beheaded and her head like hung up on a tree, and the sister's like a a warrior as well, but she's like 12 or something, and so they were obviously, that's obviously from, maybe they filmed that scene first when they thought it was going to be a serious number, a serious film.
Right.
And I think a large part of the problem from there on is the jokes don't land. And I don't think they landed, because it's obviously meant to be tongue-in-cheek. The whole rest of the film is meant to be tongue-in-cheek. Arguably it's meant to be a comedy.
Yeah, it's that bit at the beginning, you're quite right. It does seem as if that might have come from whatever the original conception was. And but anyway, I mean, I'm surprised. I thought you'd be putting up more of a fight, Darren. You seem to be more or less agreeing with me and Ron here that
I am.
Oh, okay.
But but it's all I wanted you to admit over the last 20 years, Clive, was the film showed some promise.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
That's it.
Right.
So, are you going to apologise now, or?
No. Because I watched this fucking thing 2.5 times, which is
1.5 times.
No, 2.5 times.
2.5.
I watched half of it with Darren.
For your book.
I watched it for the book, and I watched it again, which is 2.5 times too many.
Is it gonna be my choice for next Valentine's Day?
The direct.
Well, I think I'm really I think kind of, Ron, am I right in saying you're somewhere in the middle between me and Clive on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was more disappointed by the wasted potential. I think it could have been really good. I think it was, I was kind of like, hey, that sounds pretty good. I think they've got a good idea here in the concept. I think if the execution had been better, it could have been something. It was
it's good on paper, isn't it? It's one of those films that's good on paper.
Yeah, which is why I chose it, because I was like, hey, that sounds good, right? So, but unfortunately, it was the execution left a lot to be desired, unfortunately.
Now, if I were to apologize for anything, I would actually apologize for what I wrote about yellow hair and the Fortress of Gold, which I think we're going to be moving on to now, which is a bonus shot back to back with HUNDRA film in the deserts of the Tamberas Desert or whatever it's called in Andalusia, by Matt Simba again, starring Laurene Landon, because I was very down on this film as well. But watching it this time, I thought Yellow Hair and the Fortress of Gold was much more interesting than HUNDRA, and actually did have some quite interesting elements to it. Before we get into the details, do you both broadly agree with me on that or not?
Yes, I think by far it's by far the superior film. Yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I think it's objective.
Yeah. But I think this film works much better than HUNDRA because it doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest.
Yes, so
and it's straight up.
Yeah, Yellow Hair and the Fortress of Gold, or Yellow Hair and the Picos Kid, sets itself up as if it's a children's like matinee serial or an episode of a serial, isn't it? So at the beginning you get kids kind of shouting at the screen and kind of recap of what's going on, and then you're led into this. So this is again Laurene Landon as Yellow Hair, and one Ken Roberson as the Picos Kid, who his only other credit seems to be this film called Rigged, which was an adaptation of a James Hadley Chase novel, Hit and Run, which I've not seen, but that's the only other thing he seems to have been in. Also, I noticed at the beginning, so this film also, again though, too fucking long, 101 minutes again. This one seems to have been distributed by Crown International Pictures as well, the kind of big drive-in cult distributor. And I don't think HUNDRA was. I missed the Crown International. So, but I think they definitely were shot simultaneously or back to back. But then obviously the distribution went a slightly different way for either film, right? So in this one, Laurene Landon is like she half Apache, right? And she's been raised by alongside her kind of adopted, raised as her brother, as played by Ken Robertson, the Picos Kid. And this is all about a search for Aztec gold, right? Because some bad guys, so Luis Lorenzo is like this kind of general or something, and he's got a sidekick in the form of Aldo Sambrel, who I think he's supposed to be like is he like a Comancheros or something like that, right? He's something like that. And various other characters are basically after this thing, because the Aztecs use these arrows made from solid gold, right? And they discover that there's gold, and then that's pretty much it, right? And also revenge, because they murder Laurene Landon's mother, the Grey Crow. And again, Laurene Landon is a very I hate men suck, I don't like men kind of character, right? I feel as if there was more to the plot, but actually thinking about it,
well, there's like a twist at the end as well, isn't it? There's like a twist at the end where I'm sure you don't mind.
We'll spoil the fuck out of it. They just this underground temple, right? And there's molten. There's a quite cool scene near the beginning where someone gets their head dipped in molten gold, and then they just decapitate it. I thought that was quite a nice.
No, that was good.
Touch.
Yeah, and it turns out she's actually an Aztec as well. And
but they just want to sacrifice her, don't they?
Because she's got blonde hair.
Yeah.
And the reason they can tell she's an Aztec is because she's got blonde hair, but everyone else has got dark hair.
And it turns out that Aztecs as well put on too much makeup, too much lipstick.
She's terribly made up in that last scene.
It's like Yeah, very odd. But yeah, so again, it's not the best script in the world, but an episode. But the episodes here are better. So that there's that stuff with the decapitated head, and then they put the bodies on the horses right into town. There's quite a nice, like a slow-mo shootout set piece in a saloon, and there's
a good horse riding stunts in this as well, isn't there? There's like a stagecoach stunt where people are jumping on horses while they're moving.
Yeah, really good stunt work, and there's a nice bit as well where Yellowhair and the Picos Kid are like trapped in this gulch, and the Aztecs are like putting rattlesnakes inside tumbleweeds and rolling them. I've not seen that in a film.
So no, that's
pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm.
So there's just a lot more, and again, I suppose if Conan was the template, we're in Indiana Jones territory here, right? I guess. It reminded me a little bit of there's that Italian film as well, Western, Tex and the Lord of the Deep, which is this slightly similar kind of mixture of, like a Western, but something a bit more fantastical. I suppose in more recent years, there's that film Bone Tomahawk as well, right? Which is vaguely although that's a bit more Cannibal Holocaust kind of.
Well, torture porn.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's his name that's done all? Eli Roth. Eli Roth.
Well, he didn't do Bone Tomahawk,
didn't he?
No, that's that other name whose name I'm blanking. Z something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he did. Oh, yeah. It's that.
He
it's in
might,
that
might be a
tradition
producer or something on it. Or,
yeah. It's in that tradition, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Zoller, Craig Zoller.
Okay.
There we go. Z. Craig Zoller.
S. Craig Zoller.
Oh, S is it? Okay. S. Craig Zoller. That's the guy. He's another. Yeah. Well, we'll get into him another time because he is. It's always a thing about what it seems to become more apparent the more films he makes. He seems to have some kind of weird agenda that's come more to the surface with each film he's done, but that's a chat for another time, I think. So Yellowhair and the Fortress of Gold was a lot more fun than I remember it being, and a hell of a lot better than HUNDRA. And actually kind of, I don't know, if it wasn't too fucking long, this would be, borderline recommendable. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. Same thing. Yeah, it's just like I wish they just trimmed little bits here and there, but and it's as offensive to Native Americans as HUNDRA is to feminists, I guess, right? But
both groups, fantastical beasts, Darren tells me.
Yes.
There wasn't a midget monster in this one. I was very disappointed.
No. A terrifying midget monster.
Yeah. But I thought, it was, I had a good concept with the matinee, the matinee serial. I really enjoyed Luis Lorenzo. I thought he was quite fun to watch. As the like the over the top kind of evil general. I thought he was. Also, I got lost in the story. Yeah,
I was going to say, talking cast also in both films, Eduardo Fajardo and Frank Brania also turn up in both. Oh, and Ramiro Oliveros is in both films as well.
I thought the Colonel was a load of fun as well.
And I was a little surprised that I thought the Ken Robertson as the Picos Kid was quite good. I thought he was. I enjoyed him a lot, even though I was surprised that he didn't do anything else other than that. He seemed like he was quite a natural actor. I thought
he's kind of like a cheeky, like a Han Solo type, kind of Indiana Jones Han Solo type, isn't he?
He had a good voice too. I couldn't tell how much of it was dubbed or like a ADR, but he had a very like a real like matinee idol kind of
Yeah.
voice.
He was wearing too much makeup as well. We had a lot of eye makeup.
Yeah, there was a lot of makeup in this film.
Yeah.
It's actually, yeah, I agree with you. The chemistry between him and Laurene Landon was quite good, and it's weird actually because it straddled that line. There's no doubt that it was super corny as fuck, but it was the likable corny as fuck side of the line as opposed to annoying, right? And there was a few little exchanges between them that did actually make me kind of laugh. And if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a few bits in there as well that seemed like they might have been a bit ad-libbed, because Laurene Landon seems as if she's like giggling when she shouldn't be in a few scenes. Like I think he might have caught her off guard with a few of his retorts, right?
Yeah.
And
I wasn't sure, were they also like leaning toward there was like maybe a possible romance by the end of the movie there? Like I was like, that's kind of weird because aren't they brother and sister? Like,
well, he's an adoptee. Yeah. I thought that's where I was going to go as well. I thought the big reveal at the end was going to be something like, yeah, so actually you're definitely not blood related. So
let's kiss and go off to the sunset together.
Get it on.
I thought that too, but I was like, that's just really weird.
Yeah. Well, he's got a girlfriend already, isn't he? Because he's got Rainbow in the bar.
He thinks she's his girlfriend, right? But she's stringing him along. Yeah. So it's quite refreshing that they didn't do that in the end, right?
Yeah.
They're still just brother and sister, and they didn't yellow hair and the fortress of incest. They didn't, even though technically I suppose it couldn't be, but as good as, right? Incest by any other
name, it still smells so sweet. I agree. I wish they made it a little tighter, and but yeah, I thought it was there was moments of fun in there. That whole sequence where they were like on the horses was quite exciting, and I was like, they must have been really doing that too. So it seemed like I don't know how they could have faked that. So that was quite an exciting and like impressive action sequence there, I think. So
well, I think they just put more thought into the film.
Yeah,
I think, rather than like I was saying, like just this monotone, with HUNDRA. It's like she's literally just going to towns, and then she's getting in trouble at the temple, and then she's going back, and then she's getting in trouble at the temple again, and then there's trouble at the temple at the end, and it's just like one sort of straight line and no undulations in the plot. But this is like all over the place in quite a good way. There's lots of little adventures and vignettes and.
Yeah, I thought the story got a little muggled. I didn't know what they were after. There was something to do with gold, and then there was Aztecs who killed people with gold, and but it was a little muddled. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess, right? So
was the gold like ever so slightly magical or something as well? Because it had
it was magical, but and then they worshipped the gold, or they worshipped the people in the gold. There was a bunch of like gold statues, but there were people that were dipped in gold. But I don't know what was happening.
Who were also Laurene Landon's parents, I think.
Right.
And then they haven't got, and then they've had their hearts cut out.
There's something with the hearts cut out.
Yeah.
And they open it up, and that's when she realizes that I've made a terrible mistake, right? But I don't know. Neither here nor there. So I mean, whatever. So
it's a lot more imaginative overall, right? So
yeah.
So if you're in a small town and you're planning an all-night film festival, and you're planning, you want something to eat tomato sandwiches too, skip HUNDRA and maybe put yellow hair on. You could do worse than yellow hair, I think. I think we're all agreed.
I accept your apology, yes.
Right. So, yes, as long as you apologize to all the little people, feminists, and other fantastic beasts, then...
I apologize to
there we go.
All of the monsters out there.
So, here we go.
I don't mean it.
So there we go. As a guest curator, Darren also gets to reset our algorithm by suggesting to us what we're going to do next time. Darren, choose a couple of films
Just off the top of my head.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, okay. Ooh, let me think. Hang on.
I'm on tenterhooks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually, here we go. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I don't know if this has been, I can't remember if this was on a podcast or not. Tenterhooks. What are tenterhooks? And is it tenter or is it tender?
Tenter.
Yeah, it's tenter. I say tenterhooks, but
I have found this out in the past, and I've forgotten it.
Okay.
I've forgotten it.
I didn't even bother looking it up. So I've always wondered what time. It's one of those things people say, and you know what you mean when you say it, but you don't actually know what's in your mouth, right? No idea what a tenterhook is or how you spell it.
Well, we can look this up.
Yeah, but where's the fun in that? So until
I'm doing
next
it now.
time, get out of here quick before Darren looks at tenterhooks. Tell us what the films are, Darren.
Yes, so next time.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like the yellow hair and the Pecos kid, isn't it? Next time in our exciting adventure,
right.
I'm also going to choose, although I'm resetting the algorithm, I'm also going to choose a Western that's kind of not a Western. And we're going to go for a Lucio Fulci double bill, but outside, more or less outside of the horror genre. So I want to do For the Apocalypse, and I want to do Don't Torture a Duckling.
Oh,
I know, right?
I'm shocked by your choices. I had no idea what you were going to say. That's
you didn't even know I liked Fulci either, did you?
No. Right.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Very self-indulgent, but thank you for indulging me.
No, next time. So there we go. Next time.
I know what tenterhooks are if you want to know.
Go on then.
Well, tenterhooks was used to dry clothes or to stretch out like leather to dry it out and things like that. So it was like a hooks put into.
So like it's stretched.
So it was stress.
You're in a
stress
state
and
of
tension.
Suspension, right?
A state of suspension and tension, right? So yes.
Oh, there we go. I'll forget that by tomorrow, but thank you. Right. Yeah. Okay. Then until next time, in the Magic Morning Wood, it has been Clive Davis, him,
Ron,
and of course the lovely, if horrible to minorities such as dwarves, feminists, and anyone else you offended in this episode. Aztecs. Tomato Jones.
Clive. Yeah. Thank you for your apology, though. Really do appreciate it. It took a lot. It
was heartfelt, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Did Geraldine apologize to you?
Oh, many times over the years, yes.
No, she didn't.
Did she watch this with you this time?
No. I did offer her the chance, and I did mention we were doing it.
Yeah.
But I think her exact words were "fuck that shit."
Yeah. She's a wise one. You married her.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Right. Okay then. Tra. Bye bye.
Bye bye.